But when you are a weekend host on Fox News, and now you're the defense secretary of the United States overseeing 3.5 million people.
Let me ask you, did you serve?
Looks like the DEI conversation has made it to Fox News. Sean Hannity guest and apparent friend Stephen A. Smith made an absolute fool of Pete Hegseth and Sean Hannity by calling out the hypocrisy behind Trump's DEI crusade. Folks, nothing warms my belly like Fox News getting a taste of their own medicine. I've got the full clip here for you in a second, as well as some additional context. But first, if you're liking the video, make sure to like the video and double check that you're subscribed. Stephen A. Smith of ESPN fame and Meme Hall of Legend said we don't care about Trump and Fox News DEI obsession.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care. Jerry.
It might surprise some of y'all to find out that Stephen A. Smith and Sean Hannity of Fox News infamy are actually really good friends.
When you tell people who are friends,
yes,
they're like, oh.
They don't understand. I don't agree with you at least 70% of the time, but I just think that you're a nice guy. I've known you for almost 20 years now, so you're my buddy. And
we became good friends.
Right.
Now, I'll just for the record say, nobody ever says to me, oh, why are you friends with Stephen A?
Right. Because I'm a really great guy.
My son had to come here today to meet you.
I know.
My son, you talked to him on the phone.
That's right. Yeah.
Huge. Stephen A, he says, he's got an encyclopedic sports knowledge.
That's right.
How do we become friends?
Well, we met at a time when I was really, really struggling in the business. And I was doing an interview with Fox News, and I came out of there. And you saw me in the hallway and let me know that you had seen me a few times and that you really, really liked what you were seeing and to keep up the great work. And you were going to invite me on your show. And you followed up and you did that. And thereafter, we would always talk before your show or after your show. We just hit it off.
Being friends with Stephen A. Smith, that makes sense. Being friends with Sean Hannity, to each their own. But Sean Hannity's been having Stephen A. Smith on the show for a long time now, and this last time didn't go quite according to plan, because the thing that might rip apart this beautiful years-long friendship is the fact that DEI exists. Sean Hannity finds himself shocked by Stephen A. Smith's answer on the question. Turns out that a black man might not agree with him on diversity, equity, and inclusion being bad.
Okay,
what you mad at me
you
about?
actually said about DEI, what you're really saying when you talk about DEI, what you're really saying is we want white dominance again. Let me put up on the screen, and this was first instituted, as it relates to the FAA under Barack Obama. Their diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Now, Stephen A., you fly a lot. Do you want people with intellectual and psychiatric disabilities in that control tower?
Not at all. Not at all. And by the way, quote me accurately. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Quote me accurately. My issue with the eradication of DEI was not that on its premise. It was the explanation that the Trump administration and others were giving about it. I don't want to hear DEI automatically being about people who happen to be minorities that are unqualified. That is what I was saying. I said it's one thing to get rid of it altogether. It's another thing entirely to articulate and verbalize the position that, excuse me, everybody that was associated with DEI are unqualified individuals. We don't want unqualified individuals, particularly in public safety. I'm saying that's how people are coming across. That's how people, of course we agree on it. Of course we agree on it. But when you have somebody like Hegseth, well, for example, let's use him because he was speaking about your former colleague at Fox News. Hold on. That's not a defense secretary. Excuse me. Listen, I'm not bringing up anything personal. I'm simply saying, my God, Sean, when you're talking about people who are unqualified, I wish him nothing but the best. He served our country, in the military. I get all of that. But when you are a weekend host on Fox News, and now you're the defense secretary of the United States overseeing 3.5 million people.
Let me ask you, did you serve in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Gitmo?
No,
did you go to Harvard? Did you go to Harvard? Did you go to Princeton? Yeah, well, he's certainly a pretty intelligent guy. So I would say.
I didn't say he wasn't intelligent.
Why don't we give a real soldier an opportunity? All right, I got another.
That's fair.
Right, one thing I'm not qualified for.
But say that.
Ooh, put Sean Hannity in a bit of a tough situation. Between his good friend Stephen A. Smith and his best friend Pete Hegseth, which one is the DEI candidate? Obviously, it's Pete. Just because you're in the military and you went to Yale does not mean that you're qualified to head the DoD. That's like saying you're qualified to be the chairman of the NFL because you worked concessions at your local stadium. Stephen A. Smith accurately points out that this push against DEI towards a meritocracy is clearly just an attempt to push out anybody who's a minority. And that's clearly seen when you look at the unqualified idiots that Trump has surrounded himself with. And this anti-DEI crap is starting to spread out from the government into the private sector. Target ended its DEI initiatives after a class action lawsuit was filed against them by their own shareholders who claimed that DEI was detrimental to profits. After refusing to end its DEI initiatives, Costco was sent a letter by 20 state AGs who urged the CEO of Costco to end its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. They call them unlawful and illegal.
More than a dozen state attorneys general are demanding Costco fall in line, including Virginia. This is in response to President Donald Trump's executive order eliminating DEI initiatives, as in the government. But News 3's Leandra Hetz talking with customers and an economist about Costco's policy and why some businesses are shifting.
This past weekend, we had 300 new member signups, so it's been pretty busy. We normally only have like 10 a day. Yeah, it's like, so you're looking at a lot of new signups. So, I mean, the truth is in the numbers.
Here's the text of the letter itself. We, the undersigned attorney generals of 19 states, including an additional one who joined up, urge Costco to end all unlawful discrimination imposed by the company through diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. They cite Donald Trump's executive order encouraging the private sector to end illegal DEI discrimination and practices, which is not a lawful order. They cite various examples of case law that do not, in fact, outlaw DEI policies. And then they take credit for Amazon, Ford, John Deere, McDonald's, Meta, and Walmart all dropping their DEI policies because they listened to Donald Trump. They once again call on the power of Trump's executive order, trying everything in their power to make it seem like this stupid fucking letter signed by these assholes is actually lawful. It in fact is not. The president has no right to demand private companies shut down their DEI policies, nor has outreach programs to people of various ethnicities or heritages been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court. It's interesting to me how you only ever see outrage at these DEI practices when they help people who are brown, Muslims, or women. There's no outrage towards the Emerald Isle Immigration Center for trying to help Irish immigrants get gainful employment, and rightfully so. There's no outrage towards the City University of New York and their Italian-American affirmative action plan, which has been around since 1976. Because it turns out when you racialize things, meaning that white people get one thing and black people get something else, then you completely erase the true heritage of these people. Celebrating heritage and diversity is a good thing. We all come from somewhere, and we should all celebrate our ancestors. And there absolutely should be programs, and there absolutely should be vested programs that make sure that nobody's getting swept under the rug, including those who come from places that are considered white. They see no problem with DEI if they see people who look like them get a leg up. I applaud Stephen A. Smith for having the balls to stick it to Hannity on his own show, even if they are friends. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.